The soft hum of the city of Accra, Ghana, faded behind the closed windows of a palatial estate in the heart of East Legon. Inside that mansion, surrounded by imported marble, towering chandeliers, and priceless artwork, lived a man whose soul had grown lonelier with every dollar he earned. Chief Nana Kwaku Amankwa was not just a billionaire, he was a legend. The man who had risen from a mechanic's apprentice in Kumasi to owning the largest chain of agro-processing industries in West Africa. But with all the wealth, the private jets, and political handshakes, he couldn't shake the one feeling money could never cure: emptiness. His once close-knit family now orbited him like distant moons, only appearing when inheritance rumors stirred. Birthdays were celebrated with text messages. His grandchildren barely knew him. And his wife, Lady Abina, had found more comfort in her prayer groups and European vacations than in his arms. So he devised a plan, a cruel, desperate, but revealing one. He would pretend to be gravely ill. Not for attention or pity, but to answer the question that had haunted him for years. If I were dying and had nothing left, who among my family would truly care? The plan began subtly. Chief Amankwa instructed his personal assistant, Kwaku, to spread the news carefully to selected people. The story was that Chief had been diagnosed with a rare neurological condition, something incurable. It had already affected his motor skills, his memory was starting to fail, and he had resigned from his company to focus on his health. Within 48 hours, the news spread like wildfire through the Amankwa family WhatsApp group. Daddy's sick? Have you heard he might be losing his memory? Do you think he'll change the will? But not one of the messages asked how he was feeling. The first to appear at the mansion was his eldest son, Kwabena. Wearing an Italian suit, he barged into the living room, barely masking his concern. "Papa, we heard." "What's going on?" Chief sat slouched in a wheelchair, part of the act, eyes slightly glazed. He took a moment to look at his son, then mumbled, "I forget things now, sometimes I forget who I am." Kwabena's eyes flickered. Sorry, Papa. But maybe it's time we talk about the estate. Just in case. That same evening, his daughter Esi flew in from London. Not with soup or warm cloth for her father's forehead, but with a lawyer friend, to discuss medical power of attorney, just in case things get worse. His wife Abina arrived days later, but only after canceling a trip to Dubai. She was clearly annoyed. "Why didn't you tell me earlier, Nana? I had to hear this from Adwoa." Chief coughed dramatically. "Didn't want to worry you." She gave him a tired look. "Anyway, I've called Prophet Bernard. He says we need to sow a seed of $50,000 for healing." Even at his worst, the woman still used prayer as currency. What shocked him most wasn't the speed at which they came, it was the speed at which they began making arrangements around him. Meetings were held in the hallways. His assistant, Kwaku, was offered bribes to share details of the will. At night, he heard hushed conversations outside his door. "Do you know if he already handed shares of the company? If he dies, I'm not sharing a single acre of land with that London girl. We have to be smart. We can't let the others take everything." Not once did anyone sit by his side for more than 10 minutes. No one asked what scared him the most. No one prayed with him. Then came the twist he never expected. One morning, as he was pretending to sleep in his wheelchair near the garden, he heard light footsteps and the smell of freshly cooked jollof rice. "Grandpa?" He slowly opened his eyes. It was Alma, his 14-year-old granddaughter. Her big eyes searched his wrinkled face. She looked so much like her late mother, his second daughter who died in childbirth. "I heard you were sick," she said softly, placing the food on the table. "I made this myself. Mommy says cooking is love." Chief Amankwa's eyes moistened. No one else had brought him food. Not even a cup of tea. She took out a small journal and sat beside him. "Can I read to you? It's one of my stories. It's about a man who builds a kingdom but forgets to build a family." He stared at her. That wasn't fiction. That was his life. For an hour, she read, animated and bright. Then she looked up and said, I don't know what's happening to you, Grandpa, but I don't care about money. I just want you to be happy again. You used to smile more when you visited us before Mommy died. The words crushed him like a mountain of truth. It wasn't that his family didn't care, they had forgotten how to. They were chasing his legacy, not his love. Competing for assets instead of memories. And the only one who saw him, not the money, was the smallest among them. That night, he made a decision. The following morning, he summoned everyone to the lounge. Sons, daughters, nieces, nephews, cousins, everyone that had come to check on him. He sat up straighter than usual. His voice, slow but clear, filled the silent room. I thank you all for coming. I want to share something before my condition worsens. He paused, eyes scanning their eager faces. My illness was fake. Gasps rippled. Confusion twisted into rage. You lied to us? ESI shouted. You faked a sickness? Kwabena added, stepping forward. Yes, he said, voice steady. Because I needed to know the truth. He rose from the wheelchair, slowly but confidently. I built this empire from nothing. But along the way, I see I gave too much attention to business and not enough to the family. Still, I hoped that when the money was no longer the focus, I would find who truly loves me. He looked at Alma, who shrank behind the couch. She did. A little girl, who brought food, stories, and love, expecting nothing. He pointed to the rest. But the rest of you? You came with lawyers, lies, and greed. There was stunned silence. I am not dying, he continued, but something has died, my trust in this family. He pulled out an envelope. This is my new will. It prioritizes those who showed love without conditions. And believe me, it's not based on blood. It's based on heart. He turned and walked out, leaving their stunned faces behind. News of Chief Amankwa's shocking revelation didn't just echo within the walls of the mansion, it exploded across the extended Amankwa family like a hurricane. Phone calls flew between relatives. WhatsApp groups lit up with furious messages. The family that had once pretended to rally around their dying patriarch now seethed with betrayal, humiliation, and worst of all, fear. Fear of what the new will might say. Fear of what they might have lost. That evening, Lady Abina locked herself in her bedroom and refused to speak to anyone. Her pride was bruised. Her husband had made her look like a selfish, gold-chasing woman in front of the entire household. Kwabena stormed into Kweku's quarters demanding answers. Did you know? He shouted. I only did what I was told, Kweku said coolly. Your father's wishes are law in this house. ESI, furious, called a private lawyer in London. He can't just change the will like that. We need to challenge it. But while the adults fumed, little Alma sat quietly by the garden, eating the leftover jollof rice she had made for her grandfather. To her, nothing had changed. He was still Grandpa. Still the man who used to sing her lullabies when she was 5. Still the man who gave her mother a piece of land before she passed away. That night, Chief Amankwa invited Alma to his study. The old room smelled of books, tobacco, and decades of decisions. Come in, princess, he said gently. She tiptoed inside and looked around, eyes wide. You look stronger today. He chuckled. I was never weak. Just tired of pretending. She sat on the arm of his chair. I'm sorry they're all angry, she whispered. He looked at her, his face soft. They're angry because they see me as a wallet, not a father. But you... Alma, you reminded me that love isn't about what we take. It's about what we give. He handed her a small wooden box. Inside was a handwritten letter and a key. That land I gave your mother? It's yours now. But more than that, I want you to help me build something different. A foundation. For orphans. For children like you, who see people, not price tags. Her eyes sparkled. You mean I can help other kids? He nodded. That's what legacy really means. The following morning, the family was summoned once again. They arrived bracing for more bombshells. Chief Amankwa stood, looking regal in a white agbada. I will not change what I said yesterday, he began. But I will clarify. He gestured to a lawyer standing by the side. This is my official attorney, Mr. Mensah. He holds the updated will. Let me explain its contents so there's no confusion. He looked around the room, pausing at each of their faces. To my wife, Abina. I have given you one of our villas in Cape Coast and an allowance for life. But you will no longer have any say in my companies or shares. Lady Abina gasped. To my son, Kwabena, you'll receive 10% of the original family business. Not because of yesterday, but because of what you helped me build years ago. Kwabena nodded stiffly. To my daughter ESI, you will receive no land or cash. But I will cover your children's education, because they are innocent in all of this. ESI's lips quivered with shock. And the rest of the properties, lands, and shares? Chief said, pausing with emphasis. They will go to a foundation. A new one. In the name of my late daughter Akua, managed by her daughter, Alma. The room went silent. She will grow into the role, with mentors and guidance. But the soul of the foundation will be hers. Because love should be planted in those who show it. Not those who pretend to. The room erupted. You're insane. She's just a child. You can't leave billions to a teenager. It's irresponsible. But Chief raised a hand. My legacy isn't the money. It's the message. You cannot buy affection. You cannot inherit compassion. And you cannot fake love forever, it will expose itself. With that, he left the room. Alma followed behind him. Silent. Strong. The rest of the family sat in stunned silence. Some would fight it. Others would try to scheme. But the truth had been spoken, and now they had to live with the weight of it. The days following Chief Amankwa's revelation felt like an earthquake had torn through the family's world. Lawsuits were threatened. Meetings were held in whispers. Family alliances shifted like sand. But Chief Amankwa remained calm. He spent his mornings walking in the garden with Alma, planning the structure of the foundation they would launch. The Akua Amankwa Legacy Foundation, a charity that would provide food, shelter, and education to abandoned and orphaned children across Ghana. He knew the battles were coming. The press would get wind of it. Greedy cousins would challenge the will. But none of that mattered anymore. Because for the first time in decades, his heart felt full. But Alma was beginning to feel the weight of the inheritance too. One afternoon, she sat under the mango tree, staring at the garden wall, her head filled with fear. She had heard the heated arguments. She had seen the way Auntie ESI had looked at her, like she was an enemy, not a niece. Chief Amankwa noticed her silence. You're troubled, he said, sitting beside her. She nodded. They hate me now. They're angry, he replied, because they see in you what they lost long ago, purity. She frowned. But I didn't ask for any of this. I just wanted to help you feel better. He smiled, reached into his robe, and handed her a sealed envelope. This is the last thing I'll ever ask you to open when I'm no longer around. She stared at it, confused. Why not now? Because it's not for now. It's for a moment when you're ready to understand the final lesson. A week later, the inevitable happened. Kwabena and ESI filed a legal petition claiming Chief Amankwa was mentally unfit when he signed the new will. Lawyers arrived at the mansion. A court date was set. The media picked up the story. Billionaire leaves fortune to teen granddaughter, children cry foul. Paparazzi camped outside the mansion gate. Tabloids accused Alma's mother of manipulating from the grave. Social media debated whether it was fair. Chief Amankwa sat watching the news with amusement. "Let them bark," he said. But Alma? She cried herself to sleep that night. Not because of the money, but because she no longer recognized her family. The next morning, Chief Amankwa was found unconscious in his study. He passed away peacefully in his sleep. No one believed it at first. Some thought it was another test. But this time, it was real. And just like that, the man who had built an empire was gone. The funeral was grand, as expected. Heads of state came. Celebrities, bishops, and business leaders lined up to pay respects. But amidst the glowing tributes and extravagant ceremonies, Alma stood silently, the unopened envelope still clutched in her hand. Back at the mansion, chaos erupted. Kwabena's lawyers demanded a freeze on all assets. ESI flew in foreign investigators to challenge the medical reports. A cousin leaked private family information to a gossip blog. But Alma stayed out of it. Instead, she sat in the garden one final time, then slowly opened the envelope. Inside was a handwritten note. "My dearest Alma, if you're reading this, then my time here has ended. I hope you're still smiling, that same smile that healed an old man's broken heart. You may be wondering why I gave you so much responsibility. But I didn't choose you because you're young. I chose you because you're true. Let them fight. Let the world argue. But remember, people forget words, they forget gifts, but they never forget kindness. You are not the guardian of my money. You are the guardian of my values. And if ever you are unsure of what to do the thing that love would choose. The world doesn't need more rich people. It needs more hearts like yours. Love. Grandpa." Alma wept for the first time since his death, not out of sadness, but from the immensity of the trust he had placed in her. The legal battle continued, but Alma remained grounded. With the help of Chief's loyal advisors, the foundation was launched exactly a year later. Hundreds of children were enrolled in programs across Ghana. Orphanages were built. Scholarships were given. And Chief Amankwa's true legacy echoed in every smile, every meal served, and every life lifted from the shadows. As for the rest of the family? Some continued to fight. Some moved on. Some, like ESI, softened over time and even volunteered at the foundation, quietly, away from cameras. Because in the end, the truth of the matter remained. Love cannot be faked. Legacy is not what you leave in your will. It's what you leave in their hearts. True wealth lies not in riches, but in relationships. A heart that gives without expectation is more powerful than an empire built on conditions.